Yo, what's up everyone? Chris Lee here and welcome to my channel. So I recently just came across a video on Graham Stephan's channel where he made a video where he was inspired by another video from another channel, which then inspired me to do a video on this channel, which I was inspired by on Graham Stephan's channel. What am I talking about right now? Welcome to the confusing channel. Hopefully that made sense. Anyways, the video was titled The 5 Worst Money Mistakes That You Can Make in Your 20s. And just as he thought to himself, as I thought to myself, wow, what a really great idea for a video. See, there's something you should know about me, which is I was the king at messing up my finances when I was in my 20s. For real, I was a straight up like clown when it came to this stuff. And now I'm 32, so I can go ahead and share all this knowledge and experience with you guys so you don't have to deal with this crap yourself. So as I was watching this video, I couldn't really help but think to myself, and this is no discredit to Graham because he's a brilliant guy, but clearly this guy had not messed up in his 20s when it came to finances. And I could tell that based off his video that there were some key things that I feel truly people are messing up with when it comes to their finances, because I lived amongst the sea of people that did that. I never thought I would say this, is that I am more experienced than Graham Stephan in this area. Granted, it's about messing up in life versus being successful in life, but hey, nonetheless, I'm more seasoned in this area. So with that said, here's the talked about and the untalked about 5 worst financial mistakes you can make in your 20s and how you can avoid them so you can be the opposite of me, making YouTube videos about all the unsuccessful things you've done with your life. But not you, no. Instead, you're gonna end up with a big house and a Cybertruck. Cybertruck might be considered cyber junk if you're watching this 2 to 3 years from now. All right, so let's start talking about one of the first and biggest things that I personally agree with Graham on, and I just feel on so many levels, and it's just one thing that is plaguing all the millennials and Gen Zs, which is student loan debt. This has become one of the most outrageous financial things this country has seen since the 2008 crash, and it's something that I unfortunately have become a part of myself. And I'm just gonna be honest with everyone, it's actually become one of the biggest mistakes in my life. And I actually did hold off going to college to about the age 24, but it was because I was making so many financial mistakes in my life, and I just kept hearing that voice in my head, go to college, go to college, go to college. And so I thought, hey, if I go to college, that'll fix all my financial problems.
School is for fools!
So I went to Old Faithful herself, google.com, and I did some of my own recent research, and I am unpleased to report that the average student loan balance for the class of 2019, that's you guys, $31,172. In the words of the great DJ Khaled,
congratulations, you played yourself.
And what's even crazier, yeah, it gets worse, that the outstanding student loan balance is gonna reach wait for it, $1 trillion by the year 2022. Where are my woke people at? This is where I'm gonna tell you why this is one of the biggest money mistakes that you can make in your 20s. Because at the end of the day, guys, you end up graduating from college owing nearly what an annual average salary is in the United States as debt. Instead of, beginning your career, that's like the equivalent of going to build your own house, but being thrown in the hole first and being like, fill up that hole, and then you can start thinking about building that house. I don't even think I gotta say it, it's pretty common sense. That's stupid. And as your financial mistake king, I'm just gonna tell you right now, your priorities and your worries are officially gonna turn into, how the heck am I gonna pay off this student loan debt before it buries me alive? That whole hypothetical about being thrown in the hole before the house kind of worked with the whole buried alive in the debt scenario. Also, just think about the amount of time and the money it's gonna take for you to pay off that student loan balance while you're trying to start off your career in the lower pay grade, mind you, because, well, you don't have any experience, so you need to work for free for a year as an intern. It's gonna set you back decades in terms of building your own wealth. I mean, I'm just saying, there's people out here stripping to pay off these loans. Now, I will say this, if you are someone that wants to become a doctor, a lawyer, or like an engineer or something like that, by all means, go to college. That makes common sense. But if there is something that you want to do with your life and you think or you've been told that, hey, you need to go to college, don't just take their word for it. Go ahead and do your own research on Google and YouTube and see if there's other people already doing that and how they went about it. I can almost guarantee that the majority of the things that people want to do in this world, they don't need a college degree for, because every single piece of knowledge and skill can be found on Google and YouTube. Plus, if you just look at any of the biggest CEOs in the world, they either A, didn't go to college, or B, dropped out of college. Also, my man Elon Musk says he don't give a shit about your degree. Now, that doesn't go without saying that the reason why these CEOs are so successful and what's going to separate you from being unsuccessful to successful is having self-discipline to be able to apply yourself and be consistent with it, whatever it is that you want to do. Or if you really just want that bachelor degree just to have, be smarter about it and work a decent job where you can still make an income and then go to a community college and transfer later. This way, you still get to create a great financial situation for yourself and you get the degree without owing your life to private banks and Sally Mae or Navient or whatever the hell they keep switching it to. Now, this next one is super important as well. See, I've gone from not having any credit to building great credit. That's how I got my student loans, to destroying that credit because I couldn't afford the student loans, to now building that credit back up again. And I have to say, building and maintaining that credit is the path that you want to choose. Don't destroy it. That'll set you back. And by the way, I don't want people in the comments being like, oh, you just don't want to pay your student loans. No, the banks just weren't working with me. They didn't want to base it off of income. They wanted to base it off of what the hell they were owed. See, there's something that you guys got to understand. When my credit was bad, it was hard for me to do just anything in life, like getting a new apartment, getting another card, or maybe financing a car. Anything in life was just very difficult to do. Now, the older you get in life, like in your mid-20s, the more you're gonna want more grown-up things, like possibly getting rid of that old car that you've had since high school, or maybe even getting your own home eventually. And one of the biggest things that gets looked at, besides the credit score, obviously, is the credit history, because the lenders are gonna wanna see how long you've had this wonderful credit for. But if you're constantly closing and opening credit accounts, that really messes with the average length of the history of your credit. So long story short, just don't close your accounts. We're not done yet. I got another great way for you to destroy your credit. Now, this one's my personal favorite, and if I could, I would go back in time and I would punch old Chris in the face for this, but that's taking your emotions out on your credit. Now, a lot of you, especially those of you that are just graduating high school, you maybe have like a high school sweetheart, right? This usually tends to end up badly with a breakup. And even so in your early 20s as well. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and try to pretend like I know your guys' business because, hey, it's none of my business. But some of you, not all of you, but some of you, your tender little hearts just can't take that kind of hit. And the end result is this, and I'm just speaking on behalf of myself and the countless others that I've met through the years. You kind of tend to take these precious little moments in your life out on your credit cards. They tend to get in some real deep water with buying new cars, big apartments, going to music festivals that they know they can't afford, going out to eat all the time to fill that empty void in their souls. And one of the biggest band-aids of them all, and it's rule number one, guys, excessive amounts of going out and partying. No, I'm kidding. That's not rule number one. Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely love going and having a cocktail or two with some friends, but that took me the majority of my 20s to figure out how to dial that back. And if I could just get a tad serious for a moment, but for real, I really do want to warn you guys to not let this get out of control. Don't do it. As a matter of fact, I would just recommend that you make it a rare occasion. No, just don't do it. Now, if you're somebody that's watching this video and you've made this a part of your lifestyle already, hopefully this video reached out to you and you make some changes about that, but good luck. And I'm saying that with some tough love because I've been down that rabbit hole, guys. It's a very slippery slope and it's really hard to get out of. Now, the majority of the people that I do know that have a problem constantly going out and just abusing alcohol, it really does have a huge impact, not just on your body, but on your mental health as well. And I have to say that 9 times out of 10, it does come from some kind of like first love, breakup, that kind of thing. And not even just the drinking, but going out constantly, paying $20 to get into this bar and that club. It's ridiculous. And before you know it, Monday morning rolls around and you've spent that $1,300 check that you've worked 2 weeks for down to $300 in just 2 days.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
And now you've created this whole chain of events where you actually have to go and use the credit cards that you have for things you actually need for the next 2 weeks. You can see where this road leads to. So what I recommend, and this is something that I had to finally realize and do, was to not just get a change of scenery, I had to get a change of life. You need to start surrounding yourself with people that are going to advance you in life, that are going to push you to be a better person. You need to channel all that energy and that emotional baggage that you have and go and make some money for yourself. When I started doing this, everything started changing dramatically in my life. Doing this instead will keep you busy and focused on the positive things instead of going out and wasting your time on the negative things. Part of the reason why we even get involved in these financial situations is because We're just lonely and bored. So get unlonely and get unbored. Start doing side hustles, reading books. Just start making moves to improving your life instead of self-destructing it. And honestly, be real with yourself. Get rid of your crappy friends. You know who I'm talking about. It's the ones that otherwise wouldn't care if you went down with them. Now, the next one I want to talk about is living outside of your means. When you're constantly upping your lifestyle every time you make more money, you're just staying in the same spot, if not worse. And you're even digging yourself a deeper hole when you don't have a savings built up. Now, I get it. When you're young, you want that nice BMW, you want that G-Wagon, and once you get that money, you want to go out and get it. But between me and everybody else, it's just for status. Or you want to go out and get that big baller house with your friends so you can throw the most epic parties any of your friend group have seen. But if you're spending half of your check on the rent and then majority of the other half on that car payment, you're just considered rich broke. And 9 times out of 10, what usually ends up happening is you end up spending more time at work to keep up with the rent that you have, so then you're not even spending time in the expensive house that you're paying rent for. What you should do, and again, I totally agree with Graham on this, is you should live as cheap as possible, preferably for free with your parents if you can, and save up as much money as you possibly can until they say, get out. Don't spend the money. I'm telling you guys, living for free is a rare gift. Do not take it for granted. Either way, the point is to save up as much money as you possibly can while you're young and you can get away with it. Because living in your parents' basement or your childhood room or crashing on your friend's couch is not cool when you're 30. It's kind of weird at a certain point in your life. And if you don't take advantage of the time you have to do this while you're young, you're gonna be riding the struggle bus for a long time later in life, and that ride is not nearly as smooth as it could have been. Just trust me. And don't worry about being judged by your friends for living with your parents and trying to come off like, oh, I'm so adult. Honestly, nobody expects you to even be living outside of your parents' house when you're between 20 and 23. And also, as someone who's in their 30s, I expect someone who's in their 20s to be working their ass off and just saving as much money as they possibly can. So by the time they are 30, they can get that big house and that Cybertruck. Now let's talk about one of the worst mistakes that has been made by the majority of people, including myself, which is not budgeting and keeping track of your finances. Now, according to Graham, he thinks about less than 10% of the people in their 20s have a budget. And looking back on my life and the people that I knew, I'd say he's right. And keeping track of my finances in my early and mid 20s, it just meant going in my bank app once, maybe twice a month, maybe. Just to make sure that I didn't take the phrase, let's get weird, to the lengths of let's go broke. In other words, what that meant was I felt in my soul and in my liver that I went a little too hard this weekend, and let's see if my check is still in there. Now, the best thing that you can do to prevent this from happening is to, number one, not get weird. And number two is to get tools that will help you see what's going on with your money. I personally like to use the Mint app. Reason being is because you can put everything like your debit cards and your credit cards in the app, and it keeps track of all of your expenses and puts it in a graph so that you can easily understand what's going on with your money. Using this app was an absolute lifesaver for me and honestly very eye-opening. It's like if your best friend was your personal financer, keeping it real with you and helping you get your money in order. You'll just get like realistic breakdowns on what you need, what you don't need, how much you earn, and what kind of money you can prioritize over here and there to really knock out some debt. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be it. I really haven't seen anybody make a video talking about these kinds of things that, happen when you're young in your life. And, these are just from my own experiences. So, I bet there's gonna be a lot of people that can relate to that. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch this. You have no idea. But before we go, be sure to hit the like button. Also, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can keep receiving videos. With that said, my name is Chris Lee, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.